as I said, to Sensiba's webinar co-hosted with Fyle on mastering the management of company credit cards. And we're very glad you're able to join us here today. We'll get started first off with some introductions. I'm Tom Aker, and I am the Senior Solutions Consultant here at Sensiba. I have been working with ERP systems for longer than I care to recall, and I've specifically been working with Sage Intacct for a little over 10 years now. During that time, I have worked with a lot of different industries, a lot of different customers, and a lot of different solutions for credit card management and employee expense management. And I'm really excited today to share with you what I think is the best application that we found in this um, area so far. And with me today, I have Pulkit Piplani from Fyle.
Thanks a lot, Tom. And hi, everyone. My name is Pulkit, and I'm the partner account manager with Fyle. I've been with Fyle for almost 2 years now. And in my time, I've worked with top 100 accounting firms like Sensiba and helped them and their clients get onboarded onto the product. I've been working closely with Sensiba for over a year now, and we absolutely love them. And I'm sure the feeling is mutual. I'm really excited to show you what Fyle has to offer, and I can guarantee you will have a great time ahead.
All right. So jumping into our agenda here, we're going to do a quick overview of Sensiba and Fyle, how we got here. And then we'll talk a little bit about just framing the understanding of needs for automated credit card accounting, an overview of what that technology looks like, and then we'll jump into an actual demo of Fyle's automated credit card reconciliation solution. And then we'll wrap up with an opportunity for some Q&A. So let's jump into that. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about Sensiba. We are a full service accounting and consulting firm with close to 50 years in business now. We do all of the traditional tax and assurance businesses, as well as risk management like HIPAA and SOC reporting. And then we have our consulting division, which includes sustainability, and that would be everything from helping organizations become and maintain their B Corp status, which we are also a B Corp, and doing ESG assessments and other climate-based projects. And then in our consulting area, I primarily work in the technology consulting, but we do, besides software, we do the internal audit and SOX work. We have a very robust outsourced accounting practice and family office management. And then, of course, technology, where I love to work. We have services in assessments, helping organizations figure out where they are in their technology journey, what improvements they could make to their stack, and then help them implement that digital transformation to their finance function. And then, of course, help them along with upgrades and add-on products like Fyle that will enhance the functionality of their ERP system. So you see, we're certified partners with Sage Intacct, with Fyle, with Avalara, and Wherefore, and a host of other applications that all support our ideal tech stack.
And just to lay out a Fyle overview for you, Fyle has been around since 2016. The whole company started because of the personal frustration that our founder felt. He was a salesperson, and whenever there was a trip, he used to come back home with a stack of receipts, and no solution was there in the market to address his needs. And that's how Fyle began. That's the history of Fyle. Along the line, we have been blessed to be backed by some of the marquee investors in this space, including Tiger Global Management, who were early investors in Facebook and Stripe. That's a little background about Fyle. When it comes to streamlining your expense management workflows, there are two major workflows in the expense management space that we help streamline. One being the out of pocket or reimbursable expenses, wherein we help streamline that workflow, and the payment for those reimbursements can directly be made into the user's bank account using the built-in ACH feature of Fyle. uh, the flip side of it is also we help streamline the corporate card workflow. So what we do in the corporate card workflow is we help with automatic credit card reconciliation. Basically, we connect to corporate credit cards, your corporate credit cards, and when the user uploads the picture of the receipt, we automatically merge the credit card transaction with the picture of receipt, and that's the workflow we again streamline. From just to give you like an overview, think of Fyle as a pre-accounting software where we help you manage the receipt collection. We help you manage the automatic credit card reconciliation, and then this clearly coded information gets synced over to your accounting software.
So putting it in some context here, we have a poll up just to allow you an opportunity as our participants here to tell us about what your biggest pain points are in expense management. So if you can go ahead and take a second to select your whichever, all of the options, if that's what applies to you, let us know. Then we will uh, get on with the sort of the context of why we're looking, always looking for streamlining these credit card accounting functions. And I don't need to read all of these details to you. Of course, if you're here on this webinar, you already have a good idea of what these issues are, but just in the overall picture is when there's friction in the whole credit card and, for that matter, reimbursable expense reporting process, that it creates room for error. It slows the entire financial reporting process. And in the case of some nonprofits, professional services where you have billable charges that need to be turned into invoices, slowing that expense reporting means it's also slowing your revenue capture, and that means it's slowing your cash flow. So a real impact besides just the loss of productivity. And that's what we are really driven to solve here for you.
And Fyle comes in with a huge proposition in the market as well. So we are probably the only solution in the market that connects with any Visa, Mastercard, or Amex. So in here we are not dependent on the bank for those credit card feeds. We connect with any Visa, Mastercard, Amex. You don't have to switch your cards to be able to use the platform for expense management, unlike other softwares in the market that try to push you onto their cards. Fyle is the one that works with your existing credit cards as well, and on top of that provides real-time visibility into your spend. So imagine you walk into a Starbucks or a Lowe's or a Walmart and you swipe your card within and at that instant itself you receive a text notification from Fyle asking you to submit a receipt. Now all you need to do is respond to that text message with a picture of a receipt and you're done. Fyle automatically matches the credit card transaction with the picture of receipt in real time, and that's again a strong proposition. When it comes to collection of receipts, basically we are trying to reduce the friction that user faces when they are trying to submit their expense reports or receipts. So these features really help lower the friction that those users face.
Yeah, and it's a huge bonus, as we've seen, when when Fyle connects directly to Visa, or Mastercard, or Amex, and is not dependent on the bank that's issuing the card to provide that connection. It adds speed and reliability that no other system I've worked with could do.
Yep. And for Amex, we have actually recently launched a new feature which allows a business owner to issue virtual cards on Fyle. So imagine creating a virtual card where you can restrict the amount, or you want to, authorize a user to spend. You can limit the merchant. You can limit they can have an expiration date to that particular virtual card, and you can have better controls on your existing Amex credit cards. So this is something again which is very unique when it comes to using the virtual cards on Fyle and get real time visibility on those as well.
So cool. We have another poll up. And what we want to know is, do you really, do you want to keep your preferred credit card, or are you indifferent about switching cards? And that's relevant to this discussion here. So let's get those answers in. And you want to go ahead and
For
talk
the
about, yeah.
Yes. So for the automatic credit card reconciliation using RTF, basically what we have done here is we have went ahead and partnered with the bank networks, which are Visa, Mastercard, Amex, to provide you that real-time visibility on your spend. As soon as the card is swiped or any transaction is made on that card, the real-time visibility, or RTF stands for real-time feeds. We have those real-time feeds come into Fyle instantly. The user gets notified that there is a spend that has been done via a text message, and they can provide the receipt to that expense right then and there. Think of it as an extra nudge that a user gets right when they're about to crumble their receipt and throw it. We reach out to them and tell them, you know what, you're not allowed to do that. Respond to this text with the picture of that receipt, and we'll auto match the credit card transaction with the receipt itself. And you can also configure budgets on Fyle, and different business rules that help automate the coding of that receipt as well. As far as Along with that, there is an approval workflow that you can put in place on the system as well, and this can be a very customizable approval workflow. So it can be a sequential approval if you want it can be an amount based approval, and it can be a project based approval routing as well. So you can have that customizability with the platform in terms of approvals, coding of the receipt, and even setting up budgets and project tracking.
Oops, jumped too far. There we go. Uh, One of the things we love about Fyle is that it does have such great integration with Sage Intacct, and it has a lot of flexibility that we haven't seen from other systems in the marketplace, including that the reimbursable expenses and the corporate card expenses can be brought into the accounting system either as bills, as expense reports if you're subscribed to the expense reports module, or they can go in as journal entries or card transactions in the case of the corporate cards. And that just gives a lot of flexibility so that our customers who are using Intacct are able to control that workflow and their own preferences for the way that the card charges come into their system and get reconciled. And when you connect Fyle with Sage Intacct, all of the GL accounts, all of the expense types, if you're using that, the dimensions, including your project, your class or location, your departments, and also user-defined dimensions, those all become available in your Fyle administration so that you can determine which of these accounts and dimension values are accessible and usable by the employees on their charges. So great control there, very intuitive, and really great to set up for the administrator. And then when the Polka you mentioned the ACH payment to the customers, or rather to the employees. When that ACH
Yep,
payment happens, it also gets updated through the integration. So your
definitely
systems
yes.
just stay in sync there. And it's got a great look and feel and very well supported by the Fyle team too.
Yep. Tom, could you unshare your screen, please?
Yep. Now we're going to get a demo from Polkit of the actual product in action.
Yep. So I know we've been talking about a lot of things, and this is the time to look into that in more details. I'll be starting off with the user perspective of things and talk about how we reduce the friction that the users face while they are submitting those expense reports. So basically, what we have done here is we have tried to embed ourselves in an ecosystem of applications that you're already using. So one of the features that we talked about earlier as well, which is the text messaging service, how that works is basically as soon as you swipe a card, you receive a text notification on your mobile phone asking you to submit a receipt. You respond to that with a picture of the receipt, and you're done. File automatically matches the credit card transaction with the picture of receipt in real time. Now, earlier, this feature was aimed more at collection of receipts, but we have enhanced this functionality to even collect the coding for those expenses as well. So once you submit the receipt, the system will prompt you to enter the category or the project assigned to that particular expense. You key in those details, and Fyle will automatically match that to the closest option available on your chart of accounts. So basically, you don't even have to step out of your text messaging to complete an expense. You can use that on your existing applications. And now this is just one of the ways in which we collect receipts. We actually have many more extensions, or we have embedded ourselves in much more deeper way as well. Let me just quickly pull up our Outlook extension. So we are, as I said, embedded in an ecosystem of applications that you use every day. We have extensions available in Outlook, Gmail, Slack, Microsoft Teams, Google Drive, Box.com, and with the shift that we have seen in digital receipts, there are more and more digital receipts being generated, and they eventually end up in your email inbox. Now, how normally you would submit this receipt is either click a screenshot of this and upload it into your software, or you print this particular email and then submit it for approval purposes. While with Fyle, you are embedded directly into your we are embedded directly into your Outlook itself. So for me to submit this receipt, all I need to do is click on this tiny little widget here, and Fyle takes over. Now what we are doing here is we are extracting all the relevant information present in this receipt and filling up an expense form. Now, from the receipt itself, we are able to pick up to 5 different fields using OCR, which is the currency, the amount, the date of spend, the merchant, and the category. Now, based on the dimensions that you're utilizing on Sage Intact or any other accounting software, the user can actually code it to those dimensions as well. Like in this case, if there is a project that this particular expense is assigned to, you can go ahead and click on the project name. If there's a class, location, etc., all those dimensions that you're tracking on those expense forms, you can easily key in those details. And since we integrate very tightly with the Sage Intact, we are able to pull in these dimensions directly from Intact into Fyle. So the chart of accounts that you're seeing here are basically being pulled in from Intact, and most of these dimensions that you're seeing can also be customized to your use case. This expense form will change based on the dimensions that you are utilizing. Now, if I go ahead and click on add expense, you see I don't have to click a screenshot. The system already has captured a receipt right here. And when I do click on add expense, this expense will be added in my user profile. Now, there are around 7 to 8 different ways in which we bring in expenses onto the platform. Some of them being, the Outlook extension that I talked about, the text messaging that I talked about. We have a mobile application that is available both on Android as well as iOS. Now, from the various methods that we collect these receipts, they eventually end up in the application itself, which can be accessed either via web or a mobile phone. Now, the expenses that you have will be bifurcated in one of these two buckets right here. Incomplete here denoting that you have, so, not provided the receipt to that particular corporate card transaction, or the coding for those expenses are not done. Once you key in that information is when it moves into the complete stage. Like in this case, let me just open one of these expenses and fill it up with the required information. Go ahead and click on save. So basically, this once I complete that information, it moves into the complete stage. From with there, I can submit this expense for my you know I can submit this expense for approval purposes. And when we create, you can select all these expenses in one go and go ahead and add them to an expense report. Once I submit this expense report, this will be triggering an approval workflow as well. So you will have multiple. You can take these approvals, either a single stage approval, multi-stage approval, that can be configured onto the system as well. So this is how the workflow looks like. Now, within the platform itself, we support both the workflows as we mentioned earlier. So if you were to add an expense, you can go ahead and drag and drop a receipt here. Let me pull up one of the receipts. Let's say it's an Amazon receipt. Fyle will again run through all the information from the receipt and fill up an expense form. Now, most of the information will be captured from the receipt that I have uploaded. Any other further categorization that needs to be done on that receipt can be done in real time. And you can go ahead and save this particular expense. And since I mentioned that we support both the workflows, there is a corporate card workflow wherein we match the corporate card transaction with the picture of the receipt. And then there is the personal card or cash where this is treated as a reimbursable expense and can be paid out via ACH directly to in the employee's bank account without any added cost, I might add, because we absorb the ACH cost. Now, within the system itself, we have a mileage module built in that is linked to Google Maps. So if you're reimbursing your employees for mileage spent, they have to just key in the start date and then location based on the mileage rate that has been set up and the number of miles that user has traveled. The reimbursement amount is calculated for you. Similarly, for we have a per diem module built into the system as well, wherein you can choose the city of travel and the number of days that you know traveled, and based on the calculation, the reimbursement amount is calculated as well. So this gives you that sort of the system can be used for both corporate card workflow as well as reimbursement workflow as well. So yeah, that's the a little bit about the user side of things. Moving on to the admin side. This is how the dashboard changes from an admin standpoint. And some of the key features of this dashboard is that you are able to remind the users of if they have not completed their expenses. uh, Incomplete here, we'll send out a notification to all the users who have incomplete expenses in their bucket. Since we connect directly with any corporate credit card, we are able to pull in raw transaction data from this credit card, or we what we call corporate card feeds. This is how we are able to remind the users to timely submit their expenses as well. And this also reminds the approvers to approve their expenses. If they are stuck in the workflow, you can remind the approver to approve the expenses as well. Under spend overview, we give you rich data points around where exactly the spend is happening. So you have, what's your card spend versus the reimbursable spend. and rich data points around which cards are being utilized the most, what's the percentage of the total spend, what's the percentage change from the previous period of usage. This is a rich data point view around where exactly the spend is happening. There is also an analytics section in the application which outlines the spend by categories, departments, projects, business units, cost centers, and even merchants. So this gives you that bird eye visibility that you're looking for on where exactly the spend is happening. And if you know that you're spending a lot on these merchants, you can always work out a better contract with those vendors as well. So that this complete visibility is a part of the application itself. Now, under reports is where most of the accounting comes into play. Just to familiarize you with the terminology here, submitted here means a user has submitted an expense report, but it's still awaiting approval. Once approved, it moves into the approved stage. So the ideal workflow in Fyle is like a user submits an expense report, an approver approves it, and then it comes to accounting for verification. Accounting verifies whether the uh, coding is done correctly or the receipt is corresponding to the transaction before this information syncs over to the accounting software. So, in here is where that step takes place, the verification step. You can open any of these expense reports, start the verification. On the left, you will be able to see all the expenses in this particular expense report. In the middle, you'll be able to see the coding done for these expenses. And on the right will be the picture of the receipt along with a digital audit trail. So digital audit trail is anything and everything that has been transpired in that expense right from the moment it was created. We track that digitally. We know who created the expense, who approved it, who rejected it, and it's being, it serves as an audit trail for all the expenses. Now, once I click on verify and next, once this verification step is through, if it's a reimbursable expense, it moves into the processing stage. In here, it can be paid out directly via Fyle using ACH. And if it's a corporate card expense, it directly goes into the close stage. So close stage denoting that this is the end of loop within Fyle. And now this information is ready to be synced over to the accounting software. So, so we directly integrate with Sage Intact, NetSuite, QuickBooks Online, and Xero. Also Sage 300 CRE now.
And I don't know about the QuickBooks, but on the Sage Intacct integration, one of the things that we love about it is it brings not only the transaction data over, but the receipt image itself. So unlike most um, uh, extensions for credit card and receipt management, it is in the accounting software and not in another container. So that's great. Polka, we had a question. Can you add attendees at an event into um, the uh, uh, into your expense?
Yes, there is an option of like a either you can create a custom field for that purpose, or we can have in the purpose a user can mention who were the attendees. There is a multiple either there can be a drop down of attendees to select from. It's customizable that way. So in if I were to add an expense here, there is a option of purpose in which I can mention all the attendees, or alternatively I can create a custom field just to outline how many attendees were there. It could be one, two, three, four, five. You can drop down, you can select from those. So yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. I don't think we have any other questions at the moment. So if I can go back to the slides, did you have any more content there? Okay,
No.
I'll pull our slideshow back in here just a second. Okay. And this is the time for any additional Q&A. And we do have a Q&A chat box there in your Zoom window. Otherwise, you can, of course, follow up with us, and we would love to hear from you. We'll be sending out the recording and the slide deck, as well as a link to schedule a personalized demo. You know, we pretty much just covered the 35,000 foot view here, but there's obviously every organization has different requirements, and this solution fits a wide range of not only industries, but scale of business. So we want to make sure that we address all of the specific needs. And for that, you can reach out to us and schedule a personalized demo with Polkit. And I believe that's all we have for you today, but we would love to hear from you. You can reach out to me. My email is here in the slide, and that will be in the deck, and you'll be getting that shortly after this meeting is over. Oh, wait a second. It looks like we have another question came in. Can multiple employees have access to add receipts for a single card? If yeah,
Yes.
yeah, go ahead.
Yes, there is, we can provide a delegate access to admins in case, they need access to to an executive's account.
Yeah, and we see that in action on some of our clients. So thank you for asking that. And as I said, contact us with any more questions and to get your own personalized demo. And thank you so much for joining us here today. Have a great day.